Hello everyone, dear colleagues, doctors of veterinary medicine, business owners and managers of veterinary businesses, ambitious future doctors who wish to have their own practice, representatives of public associations, supporters of the One Health concept, and all those who are ready to support veterinary medicine under conditions of a turbulent environment such as natural disasters or war. I am Andrii Klietsova, a practicing doctor of veterinary medicine from Sumy city, head of the board of the NGO Society of Veterinary Business Owners, and co-owner of the Vetdopomoga chain of vet clinics.
Hi, dear audience. I'm Dr. Nataliia Klietsova, doctor in economics and fellow in higher education. I'm a manager of public relations for the Safe Vets, Safe Pets project of the NGO Society of Veterinary Business Owners. I'm HR and employment law consultant at the Vetdopomoga clinic within the last 20 years. I'm also the senior lecturer in human resource management at the University of Hertfordshire, United Kingdom, and I work as the associate professor at the Department of International Relations and researcher at the University of Sumy National Agrarian from Ukraine. Andrii and I are so honored to be here with you and to bring you a piece of our professional experience and piece of our life to the American Veterinary Medical Association Congress here in Washington, D.C. And of course, enormous thanks and congratulations with its 40th anniversary, the World Veterinary Association.
Today I am honored to share the story, how our team and clinics in Sumy, so close to the front line, tackled challenges with science on our side. Take a sit and be ready engaged around 45 minutes, and we will structure it from context to lessons, integrating scientific data to demonstrate how our work affects One Health and biosafety. Why am I delivering this lecture? Well, I am a practicing doctor of veterinary medicine with experience working in both peacetime and wartime conditions, co-owner together with my father of 3 Vetdopomoga establishments, a referral clinic at Herasima Kondratieva Street, a clinic at Kharkivska Street, and a separate veterinary pharmacy in the city center. Each establishment has a separate license for veterinary practice, and we receive law and accounting services from outsourcing.
The main clinic on Herasima Kondratieva Street covers 125 square meters, where 2 receptionists, 5 assistants, mainly 3rd and 5th year veterinary university students, and 2 doctors work on their own shifts. Our main clinic is well equipped with advanced diagnostic and treatment tools, including analyzers, ultrasound, X-ray, and more. There is an infection inpatient ward for 7 animals and non-infectious ward for 8 animals, 2 reception areas, a laboratory, and a surgery room.
The clinic on Kharkivska is located in a basement with an area of 110 square meters, making it an effective bomb shelter during wartime. Here, 7 days a week, in shifts, work 2 doctors, 2 assistants, 2 receptionists, and 1 grooming assistant. Equipment includes 1 computer, 3 laptops, a non-infectious inpatient ward for 2 medium-sized dogs and 6 cats, metal cages, a small laboratory with a microscope and centrifuge for smears and urine and blood tests, ultrasound machine. There used to be an X-ray, but the war makes adjustments with migration, infusion pumps, syringe pumps, surgery, coagulator, patient monitor, oxygen concentrator, etc.
Previously, there were pet shops at the clinic, but now they almost do not function due to the prices increasing in the premium segment after the invasion, and the cheaper segment takes time for inventory.
The clinics and pharmacy operate from 8 to 19 before the invasion. They worked from 8 till 20, 7 days a week. The veterinary pharmacy is 60 square meters, where there is a wide assortment of food, goods, and medicines for animals, a separate establishment with a similar schedule.
Previously, there were pet shops at the clinic, but now they almost do not function due to the prices increasing in the premium segment after the invasion, and the cheaper segment takes time for inventory.
Sumy is a regional center with a population around 256,000 of people in 2022. It decreased from 268,000 in 2012 due to the war since 2014. The Sumy region has got 1 million residents for now. Sumy city is a front line, 16 kilometers from the front line as of July 15, 2025. Until February 24, 2022, the distance to hostilities was over 450 kilometers.
But in February-March 2022, the city was completely surrounded, even under trade and humanitarian blockade. From April 2022 to March 2025, the front line stabilized at 25 kilometers until the Kursk operation, when Ukrainian forces entered Russian territory and increased the number of Russian animals admitted to veterinary clinics in Sumy. The region's population dropped by 9% from 2022 to 2025. Some locals left, but others moved in from Kharkiv, Donetsk, and Luhansk.
Now, militarians are everywhere, and to find apartments is almost impossible, but we could justify it scientifically. Thus, Faunalytics 2023 research shows that the absence of veterinary services increases migration by 20-30%, as people do not want to leave animals without care.
At that time, World Organization for Animal Health emphasized the role of veterinary services in One Health to prevent zoonosis in conflicts, where 75% of new diseases come from animals.
We've seen it by own eyes. Good care keeps our clients with us, even when times get tough. So, this video is our story of a journey of resilience supported by scientific research. Let's start from the historical background of the clinics before the war. In our clinics, we adapted, focusing on services. Cat sterilization cost $21, spaying $37 in 2018-2021, and we retained the middle price segment in Sumy. The cost of cat sterilization today was $28 and spaying $44. The business structure was effective, co-owners, my father and I focusing on referral services. The clinic on Kondratieva served as a referral clinic where we performed complex diagnostics and surgeries. The equipment allowed us to handle complex cases: ultrasound with 3 probes, linear, convex, phased, X-ray with DR panel for quick diagnostics, a laboratory for blood and urine tests.
Our average pricing has changed over the years, but we've kept services really affordable. This aligns with World Organization for Animal Health guidelines. Continuous professional development increases competence and staff retention by 20-30%. By the way, AVMA research confirms similar trends. At our clinic, Vetdopomoga, before the war, we retained 80% of staff through training and performance bonuses.
I would like to make the picture for you about the economic context of Sumy, thus low prices, average restaurant bill $2.60 in 2021, $5.20 in 2025. And can you imagine that the cheapest internet in the world was in Sumy, 3.8 for 100 Donetsk Mbps? According to Pro Consulting, 2018 and 2022, the average restaurant bill in Ukraine increased by 18%, but in Sumy it is lower due to the front line. By the way, Basilic Media 2022 confirms the trend of revenue growth, but the war limits it. This has affected our business, focus on services to retain customers.
Before the war, we focused on developing our team through regular seminars and internal lectures. Staff qualification and skills were shaped through self-learning, workshops, and participation in international seminars. Can you imagine? Every week we held internal training sessions and lectures, and these were organized on the initiative of the clinic's head doctor with team members preparing presentations. And this approach helped us to build a foundation of resilience, a foundation that was later tested by the challenges of the war.
Challenges during the war and personal experience. Now, let me share the challenges we faced at Vetdopomoga during the full-scale invasion and my personal experience, both as a manager and as a veterinary doctor. February 24th, 2022 became a turning point for our clinics and for the entire city of Sumy. I remember that day very clearly. From 6 o'clock in the morning, I started receiving phone calls from friends, colleagues, and my sister. All of them kept saying the same words: the war has begun. But until noon, I couldn't fully believe it. So I went outside myself, and I saw it with my own eyes, military vehicles marked with Russian chevrons. I even recorded a short video. It was risky. Having such material on your phone could be dangerous, especially with checkpoint inspections.
But the video later appeared in the President of Ukraine US speech. For me, it became both a symbol and a personal reminder of how different our global understanding of democracy is compared to the harsh reality that war brings. The city of Sumy and the region were under siege until April 2022, 4th of April, and it was a period of complete blockade, including even trade and humanitarian blockade.
I emphasize that this information is important to verify from official sources. During this period, the clinics continued to operate, albeit with a minimal team. My father, who was 71 years old at the time, continued to work at the pharmacy. I personally worked in the main clinic.
And in the other clinic, there was one girl working who could not leave the city due to family circumstances. The work schedule was shortened from 9 o'clock in the morning till 2 o'clock afternoon, instead of the usual from early 8 till noon 8. Gradually, as the situation stabilized, employees began to return, and the clinics resumed full operation, but a significant part of the staff left the country. And it's mostly women with young children and employees with good knowledge of foreign languages. It was one of the most difficult periods in the history of our clinic network.
A separate challenge at that time was the complete absence of fuel. The queues at gas stations lasted up to 11 hours. There were situations when I spent the whole day standing in line just to get 10 liters of fuel, and this in sub-zero temperatures. It was even worse when gas stations closed, right in front of you, leaving fuel only for territorial defense or military needs. At that time, I thought it was all about showing courage.
But when we found out what was happening in the occupied territories of Kiev and Kharkiv regions, particularly in the city of Trostanets, where one of Andrii's employees was, we realized how brutal the enemy's military machine really was. And this revaluation applied not only to material things, but also to understanding the value of human life, knowledge, skills, and the fact that these are what truly matters in crisis moments.
Research shows that diseases like leptospirosis and rabies have jumped by 50% in Ukraine during the war, with 369 rabies cases in 2024 alone. The absence of resources such as fuel or electricity increases risks, as in the case study of Syria, where the conflict led to a plus 40% increase in vector-borne diseases, Conflict in Health 2018.
In Yemen, the war caused a cholera epidemic due to animal contamination. But in our clinics, we saw the impact on migration, a 90% decrease in the population, partly due to the absence of veterinary services.
The invasion coincided with the Babesia season in March, when financial reserves were depleted. The veterinary business in Ukraine has clear seasonality. It is in March that the active period begins due to the spread of babesiosis, And it is precisely at that time that financial reserves traditionally run out, which had been accumulated over the winter. As a veterinary doctor and clinic owner, it was then that I first acutely felt that money is not the main value.
but rather skills, knowledge, experience, and the ability to keep the team together. This is the experience and the journey that we have already presented at World Veterinary Congresses in Taiwan and South Africa. And these challenges changed our work completely, and we adopted. And of course, we will share with you here how we managed it.
Practical solutions, war hacks, and adaptation. Now that I've shared the challenges we faced during the siege and my personal experience, I'd like to move on to the practical solutions we developed at Vetdopomoga to adapt to wartime conditions. I call them war hacks. It's my own term similar to life hacks, but for survival and continuity during war. These were real, hands-on tactics for working without electricity, without essential supplies, without internet, and often without heating.
These solutions helped us keeping our veterinary clinics running even when the city was under siege and our team was reduced to the absolute minimum. Imagine veterinary clinics working in complete blackouts, no electricity, no water, critical shortages of sirens, infusion solution, medications, and no internet connections to check dosages or contact supplies, no heating either. And still, we kept going. We believe sharing these wahaks is important not just a part of our story, but as practical lessons that might help others working in extreme conditions anywhere in the world.
Let me start with energy supply. Without electricity, the laboratories and inpatient departments could not function, but we used autonomous sources, three power station, EcoFlow Delta 2 units, and gasoline and diesel generators, which, by the way, burned out several times due to the incompetence of the girls. This allowed us to keep critical equipment such as refrigerators, blood analyzers, URIT 5160 vet, Mindray BS 230, and oxygen concentrators in working order.
For example, during the severe winter of 2023, the city was without electricity for up to 12 hours a day. We powered operating and inpatient departments using generators. And according to World Organization for Animal Health, backup power helps maintain diagnostics and reduces disease risk by up to 40%, which proved true for us. And unlike in Syria and Yemen, where electricity shortages worsened infections, our Wahaks helped us maintain biosecurity and avoid such outcomes.
Now, let me give you a specific example of how we adapted to critical shortages. One of the biggest challenges we faced was a shortage of consumables, syringes, infusion solutions, and essential medicines. Due to the blockade, supplies simply didn't arrive, so we had to optimize everything. We reused sterilized instruments wherever it was safe and possible. We also involved veterinary students in routine tasks to support the remaining team.
Another challenge was the lack of internet. In those conditions, we worked using offline databases and printed protocols. No Google, no cloud services, just paper. And of course, it was really cold. Without central heating, we used generators to power small heaters. It wasn't ideal, but it allowed us to continue seeing patients, to help them. In fact, one of our clinics on Kharkivska Street became not just a clinic, but also a bomb shelter. We set up patient appointments right in the basement, where the temperature was more stable. That basement clinic had three reception areas, a grooming room, and a non-infectious inpatient ward equipment, with a small laboratory for smears, urine, and blood tests. It also had a fully functioning surgery room, and where there used to be a pet shop, we set up a small sales areas for essential goods. These are the kinds of practical adaptations we made, not theoretical solutions, but the real ones that kept both people and animals safe during those first hardest month of our life.
Another essential adaptation was involving family members and students. With so many staff unable to work, we turned to our own children and to students from veterinary faculties, primarily from Sumy National Agrarian University. By the way, that same university was attacked by enemy missiles just 4 days ago on July 14th. Despite this, the university continues its mission.
Involving students wasn't just about solving the problem of missing hands. It also became part of continuous professional development. Students learned by doing directly, on site, in real crisis conditions. And this approach aligns with the World Organization for Animal Health recommendations, which stress the importance of integration education into emergency responses to preserve professional capacity. And it's backed by data. AVMA research from 2023 shows that involving students in practical work reduces staff turnover by up to 15% during high stress periods. So for us, it wasn't just about survival, it was about creating learning opportunities and future resilience at the same time.
Another critical aspect we had to adapt was logistics. During the blockade, logistics became either fully self-managed, which took a lot of time and human resources, or dependent on private postal services. These services were active but not cheap. To give you a sense of scale, sometimes it was literally cheaper to order a phone case from China, including international shipping, than to receive the smallest parcel within Ukraine. So every delivery had to be carefully planned and prioritized.
At the same time, we had to maintain communication with our client base. That meant keeping pet owners informed and engaged, even under crisis conditions. We used social media actively. We sent SMS reminders about vaccinations and followed up with phone calls if needed. We also involved our other veterinary establishment and pet shops both to refer clients and to receive directed patients from other clinics. And these client support strategies helped maintain trust, even when normal services were impossible. And as a practice showed, communication was just as important as treatment in those conditions.
From a scientific perspective, these so-called war hacks directly support the One Health approach. According to WO biosafety protocols, maintaining inpatient isolation and vaccination routines reduces the risk of zoonotic infections by up to 50% during conflicts. For example, in Syria, due to shortages of medical materials, there was a reported 40% increase in infections as documented in Conflict and Health 2018. We avoided that scenario by using generators to power autoclaves, ensuring instruments were properly sterilized even without electricity. Another case, in Yemen, lack of logistics support worsened the cholera situation significantly, as noted by WHO in 2020. For us, active private deliveries helped ensure a steady supply of essential medicines, even under blockade conditions. These solutions didn't just help us save our business, they protected our team and helped prevent public health risks in our community. Human resource policy, education, and team motivation.
Now that we've shared our WAHACs, I'd like to highlight something even more important. It's human resource policy, education, and team motivation at our Vetdopomoga clinic. It's the people, doctors, assistants, receptionists, who keep care going, especially under frontline conditions. In Ukraine, veterinary medicine faces systematic challenges. No individual licensing, fragmented education, and no unified quality control now. During COVID-19, and especially since 2022, formal training stopped or moved fully online. But online learning alone isn't enough in veterinary practice. Hands-on skills are essential. That's why we built our own internal system for training and team motivation, adapted to real conditions on the ground.
Weekly training included lectures by doctors with mandatory team reflection. This not only improves staff qualification, but also helps maintain team spirit. Scientifically, this corresponds to WOE 2021 recommendations regarding continuous professional development, CPD. CPD is mandatory for maintaining competencies in veterinary medicine, reducing errors by 25%, and increasing staff satisfaction by 20%, as shown in the report. AVMA 2023 research confirms that in countries with similar licensing systems, CPD reduces staff turnover by 15%, which we observed. Before the war, retention was 80–85%.
Few words about our human resource policy at Vetdopomoga clinic. So our pay system was based on three components: base hourly rate, then percentage of revenue. It's around 8–12% from goods, 15–30% from services, up to 45% from grooming, and bonuses for additional duties like medical record checks, inventory control, call quality evaluation, and supervising cleaning routines. And for a full-time load of around 160 hours, actual salaries ranged from $250 to $1,100 after taxes, depending on qualification. For comparison, in larger cities like Kyiv or Lviv, vet salaries can reach up to 3 times higher per month, accordingly to Workout UA information.
But financial motivation is not everything. War conditions intensified burnout. 69% of veterinary technicians report low to medium burnout, AVMA 2024. 76% of assistants experience emotional exhaustion. PMC research shows stress in the veterinary profession can reduce productivity by 30%. To address this, we implemented a resilience framework, simple but effective. We organize corporate events 3 to 4 times per year: spring for International Women's Day, summer Veterinarians Day with rafting or team building activities, autumn clinic anniversary, winter New Year's celebration. Participation was always voluntary, and those who preferred not to join stayed on duty. According to PMC 2021, these small steps reduce burnout risk by around 20%.
Another important element of our human resource policy is quality control and performance evaluation. So in all clinic rooms, we installed video and audio monitoring, not for control, but specifically to improve service quality. Every week, we randomly selected 5 recordings of one doctor's appointments for review. Additionally, any conflict situations with clients were always discussed openly at team meetings, not to blame, but to learn. And based on these evaluations, staff salaries were adjusted. If service quality met all our standards, the doctor received the full amount of bonuses. If systematic issues were identified, we applied a reduction coefficient to the bonus portion of their pay. And this transparent system helped maintain consistent quality, and accordingly to AVMA Research 2023, it reduced service errors by around 25%. To sum up, it should be admitted that motivation through education and bonuses helped retain the team, which we'll describe in the volunteering section.
I'd like to move on to another important part of our story: humanitarian activities and volunteering, which became integral to our work during the war. After the deoccupation of Sumy region in April 2022, I was invited to take part in volunteer efforts within 2 major humanitarian initiatives created in response to the war: SPOU, Save Pets of Ukraine, UPAW, Ukrainian Pet Association Worldwide. I took on the role of regional coordinator for the distribution of animal feed in Sumy. For us, it wasn't just about helping animals. It became a part of supporting the wider community and protecting public health. Together with our team, we organized full-scale logistics for humanitarian aid. We rented a warehouse, arranged deliveries of animal feed from Western Ukraine and from international partners, and distributed it across the entire Sumy region. What made our approach distinctive was full transparency and publicity.
We created one of the first transport reporting system in Ukraine, specifically for humanitarian aid to animals under conditions of war. Our key rules were simple, but very strict. Every recipient had to take a photo with the feed they received, holding a document that specified the quality and type of feed. It was mandatory to tag the donor in social media posts using a hashtag and to post a photo of the animals listed in the application. All applications were processed centrally to maintain objectivity and trust. And between 2022 and April 2024, we distributed more than 90 tons of animal feed across the Sumy region. On the slideshow, you can see a screenshot from Andrii's personal Facebook page, an example of one such public report made during the occupation of Sumy in March 30th, 2022.
When I decided to join the coordination of humanitarian aid distribution, I had two main motivations. The first was to reduce pressure on local food stores. At that time, livestock farmers, volunteers, and animal shelters were buying up all available grain and feed from retail shops. I saw this as a real risk to the city's overall food security. By helping distribute humanitarian feed, we could take some of that pressure off the local market and help maintain balance for both people and animals. The second motivation was more strategic, to create a potential client base for our clinic. From day one, we registered all incoming and outgoing humanitarian feed through our veterinary CRM system.
However, with the time, we realized that the decision was not entirely justified from a business perspective. In the long term, we faced a new challenge. Many recipients of humanitarian aid, especially those caring for 10 or more animals, began to see our clinic as a place where animals were treated for free. It became automatic for them to expect ongoing charity for us. Unfortunately, we simply didn't have separate funding to provide free veterinary care on that scale, because veterinary medicine in Ukraine is not funded by the state as part of public health care. Clinics work as private businesses, and this created tension between our clinic and some parts of the volunteer community. People's expectations didn't match our real resources. And that's an important lesson that we took from this experience. Even during wartime, it's essential to clearly separate humanitarian aid from commercial services. Otherwise, you risk not only financial instability, but also losing the trust and respect of your professional community.
From a scientific perspective, our humanitarian work has produced measurable results. The food distribution has contributed to a reduction in the number of abandoned animals, which is in line with the overall findings of the Faunalytics study on the protection of animals in human conflicts, where relief efforts help mitigate the risks of abandonment and associated zoonoses, supporting vulnerable populations and preventing the spread of infections through stray animals. Our sterilization and vaccination program of 7,416 animals, with a focus on females, has helped control zoonoses, which is in line with FAO's efforts to eliminate rabies in conflict-affected regions. Case studies from similar contexts, such as Syria, where conflict led to large-scale displacement and abandonment of animals, and Yemen, where cholera outbreaks were addressed through One Health approaches that include zoonotic control, highlight the value of such interventions.
We would also like to highlight a key moment in our humanitarian work, the start of organized humanitarian missions. In mid-March 2022, the first so-called green corridors appeared in our region, but they were unstable and often unreliable. And on March 23rd, we organized our first major delivery, 1.5 tons of animal feed brought from the city of Lohvica using grain trucks that were less likely to be checked at military checkpoints. And by the end of March, we arranged a second shipment. This time, there were 2 tons. Some of you may remember our first speech at the FE General Assembly in London in June 2022. At that time, at that event, we brought small souvenirs for colleagues. Those were made possible thanks to this very same humanitarian logistics. But it wasn't just about helping animals. Through this work, we were directly supporting the One Health approach, Reducing the number of stray animals contributes to lowering zoonotic risks, as outlined in World Organization for Animal Health guidelines on stray dog population control. And this is part of our story. And next, we would like to share some of the key lessons we learned from it.
International cooperation and lessons learned. To conclude my story about Vetdopomoga, I'd like to share a few words about international cooperation, which has become a vital part of our work during the war, and the lessons we've learned through this experience. After the deoccupation of Sumy region, I launched several projects through the public organization Society of Veterinary Business Owners. This organization was founded back in 2020 by like-minded colleagues from across Ukraine as a platform for communication with state authorities and international partners even before the full-scale invasion. Thanks to the support of the World Veterinary Association and in particular Dr. Raphael Legins and the entire WVA team, our organization was able to officially join the global professional veterinary community. This connection has given us access to international resources, best practices, and, most importantly, a shared sense of solidarity with colleagues around the world.
And now we would like to share some of the key lessons and takeaways from this international cooperation experience. Already in March 2022, we began actively communicating with international media. I'm especially grateful to journalist Jennifer Filer, who wrote the article titled "Ukrainian Veterinarians Endure Aimed Russian Invasion," and it was published on the 2nd of March 2022 by VIN News. We will never forget the chaos of those first days. Anyway, great thanks to that publication because we were noticed by the key international partners and including Trupanian and Mighty Vet, represented by Dr. Steve Weinrauch. And though this cooperation, our organization received 3 rounds of charitable aid in 2022 and 2023 with a total value around $345,000. And these partnerships were not just financial support, they became a symbol of international solidarity, a reminder that even under the most difficult conditions, the global veterinary community stands together.
Thanks to these funds, we were able to carry out sterilization, rabies vaccination, and identification for 7,416 animals, with a specific focus on the sterilization of female animals. Personally, I performed over 600 surgeries in a mobile operating room in deoccupied territories where veterinary assistance was completely absent. We distributed funding among veterinary institutions that had suffered due to the war or where veterinary doctors experienced personal losses. This meant that support was directed not only to volunteers, caretakers, or shelters, but also to ensuring the sustainability of licensed veterinary clinics that were legally registered. During this project, thanks to research conducted by Dr. Nataliia Klietsova, we developed and implemented a methodology for identifying vulnerable population groups using Maslow's motivation theory applied in practice.
Separate and very important initiative that appeared in our city after the main hostilities ended was the opening of the first social veterinary clinic that was established with the support of the American Veterinary Medical Foundation. This clinic serves vulnerable segments of the population, providing free veterinary services to those who really need them. And for me personally, I'm sincerely grateful for such an initiative. It's not just about veterinary care, it's an important component of the future well-being of our Sumy region, supporting both animal health and social stability.
After the deoccupation of Sumy region, I formulated for myself 2 main principles that became a kind of conclusion from the experience we lived through. The first principle: the best investment is an investment in knowledge. One's own knowledge, the knowledge of our children, the knowledge of our employees, these remain with us under any circumstances, even in the most difficult conditions of war. No other assets, real estate, equipment, or money have such resilience and long-term value as knowledge and skills.
The second principle, we can build a business, develop clinics, but physically moving a clinic to another region is almost impossible. Yes, there are successful cases of veterinary business relocation in Ukraine. Moving equipment is not a problem, but not entire teams. But these are expectations, not the rule.
And it is precisely these reflections that became my motivation for continuing volunteer work. At the same time, if there are those among you who would like to join in supporting not only my own clinics, but also other veterinary establishments that have suffered during the war, I am open to cooperation. We guarantee full transparency and detailed reporting for all projects, whether they are volunteer initiatives or business partnerships.
We would like to express our special thanks to Trupanian and Mighty Vet for their extremely important support. We are really grateful to the World Veterinary Association and personally to Dr. Rafael Lagans, who had the courage to visit Ukraine in 2023 for the Lviv Veterinary Weekend, and to Alla Vinyorska for highlighting the courageous veterinarians of Ukraine. Our sincere thanks also goes to the current VVA President Dr. John de John and President-elect Dr. Isao Kurashi, as well as the entire AVMA community, and personally to Dr. Janet Donlin, Michael Wilson, Dr. Beth Sabin, Dr. Rina Carlson, for supporting us and giving us the opportunity to share our message on one of the largest and most influential veterinary platform in the world. Believe it us, it's really incredible input into the Ukrainian veterinary community.
We also thank the Federation of Veterinarians of Europe, Presidents Dr. Siegfried Moder and Dr. Piotr Kwieciński, and the Union of European Veterinary Practitioners, President Dr. Volker Moser and Vice President Dr. Giovanni Battista Guadagnini, as well as the Federation of European Companion Animal Veterinary Associations for their steadfast support of the Ukrainian veterinary community during this extremely difficult time. A special thank you to the Taiwan Veterinary Medical Association, the Veterinary Association of Malta, the Philippine Veterinary Medical Association, the South African Veterinary Association, and personally to Dr. Paul van der Merwe and to Veterinarians for Climate Action.
Through your support, we have been able to share the realities of war by the eyes of animals and veterinary professionals. We are really ready to continue sharing this message with the global community, and we welcome all of you in this room for further cooperation and dialogue. Please stand with Ukraine. We really need your support.
In front of you is a picture honoring 75 heroes of veterinary medicine, professionals who gave their lives for Ukraine's freedom. Their selfless sacrifice, combining veterinary care with the fight for sovereignty, will forever inspire us. Eternal glory to these brave souls. May their legacy guide us in serving both animals and humanity.
The presence of veterinary thought leaders in Ukraine has become a powerful symbol of support of all Ukrainian veterinarians. It inspires them not to stop, to stand firm, and to continue their professional duties even under extremely difficult conditions. Such initiatives provide not only practical help, but also essential moral support for specialists working in high-risk zones. And that is why I invite you to join us if you are ready to share your knowledge and train our teams. And we are ready to welcome you in our country. From our side, we guarantee all possible safety messages. And as your president once promised, with 17 Patriot air defense systems, we are doing everything we can to protect those who come here to help.
Summarizing our entire journey, from peaceful development through the challenges of wartime to international cooperation, I am convinced that developing internal human potential and building a strong in-house training system are key factors in maintaining high-quality veterinary care, especially under conditions of war.
Thank you for your attention and for the support. We feel it in your eyes. We saw it in your thoughts. It is exactly this support what inspires us to continue our work even under difficult conditions, operating just 16 kilometers from the front line. The war is not over. It continues, and we really need your support. And as Dr. Raphael Lagans, former president of the World Veterinary Association, giving the interview to us, said, "The veterinary profession is a profession of peace." As a part of the One Health initiative, our efforts, sterilizing over 7,400 animals to prevent zoonotic treats, distributing more than 50 tons of the feed, and strengthening biosecurity near the front line, are the acts of compassion that protect human, animal, and environmental health. And united as veterinarians around the world, these actions contribute not only to resilience, but actively promote peace in Ukraine. And it was proved that shared kindness can overcome any conflict and the war.
We would be grateful if you could share your feedback by scanning this QR code. Your insights and impressions are important to us. We are open to collaboration and ready to share our experience of running a business in turbulent environments around the world. To get in touch, simply scan the QR codes linked to our LinkedIn profiles.
We value your feedback because it's difficult to fully understand this experience without having been there with us. Thank you once again for your time and support. And now I invite you to share a moment of support. Please take a moment to hug the person next to you and spread the positive energy in solidarity with Ukraine. Glory to Ukraine!